Randy Robison of Life Today TV. I am here with evangelist Jay Lowder. He is also the author of the new book, Midnight in Aisle 7, a book full of stories. Jay, thanks for being with us.
Great to be here.
What the heck's going on in Midnight in an Aisle that you're writing a book about?
Well, Midnight in Aisle 7 is my story, but yet it's the story of a lot of people who have had an encounter and experienced God at the most unlikely place, in the most unlikely way, under a set of most unlikely circumstances. And so it's a compilation of different people who have had that life-changing encounter.
Do you live one of those, okay, your book is full of stories. I mean,
Yeah.
like crazy stories in some ways. Like
It really is.
life and death tornado, you know, which you talked about on the show, Live Today. You'll have to go there to hear that one.
Right.
And other stuff. Do you live one of these kind of Forrest Gump kind of lives where just all these crazy things happen to you?
Honestly, I do. I really do. I mean, I think that just goes with being in so many different places and meeting so many different people. And I think part of that too is when people meet you, because you're an outsider, they feel comfortable sharing things with you that they might not share with somebody in the community for fear of getting exposed or whatever. So in a way, I really kind of do.
Right. But you also take the opportunity to stop some places not everybody stops, I've noticed. If you see a guy laying in front of a cross on the side of the road, you're going to go talk to him, right?
That's really me.
Right?
Yeah, that's really
Tell me about the jail that you always wanted to visit, because that's not a common, desire of most people.
Yeah, I don't think it is. There is in West Texas an old jail that looks like something out of an old Western movie. Right. And it just has somewhat of a macabre yet mysterious look to it. Something about it to me, and even people who have ridden with me in passing it, just pulls you in.
Yeah.
It's over 100 years of age. Anyway, I always wanted to go.
Okay.
And so one night on the way back from a speaking engagement in West Texas, decided to stop. Why not? It's the middle of the night.
Actually, I've done that too in Colorado.
Yeah, there you go. So we literally made an illegal U-turn and pulled up at the jail and walked in and got to know the jailer, and there was only one jailer on duty.
So it's still in use. It's not a historical site.
Well, actually both, believe it or not. It not only is in use, but it is considered a historical monument marker. I say monument marker in Texas.
Yeah.
So we went in, and the lady actually knew who I was just because she had heard about some things from TV and radio that we were doing in the area, and actually asked me if I'd like to go upstairs and talk to some of the inmates. And I didn't go there with that intention, but that's what ended up happening.
And?
Well, I met several inmates, one in particular that stood out. I think he stood out because of his youth. He was really young. And I wondered what crime he committed. I normally wouldn't ask that or inquire because it can taint your ability to be objective about somebody. Sure. So I talked with those guys, felt a real compassion towards him. But as I was leaving, I broke the cardinal rule. And I asked the jailer what he was in for. And he was in for sexually abusing a young girl very close to the age of my daughter. Oh. And so what I really felt was a genuine compassion and concern for him, because he did tell me that he was going off to serve a 20-year sentence. And being as young as he was, it really bothered me. It bothered me until I found out what crime he committed. And then it was almost like a Jekyll and Hyde. I turned from a compassionate, caring, wanting to give him hope, to a guy that really I wanted to walk back up there and open the door and strangle him. Yeah. I mean, just being honest about it.
Sure, as a parent, yeah.
Yeah, but struggled with it for a few days, had a long drive home to think about it, and really finally came to the conclusion that in many ways I was him. I mean, I've never sexually abused anybody. I've never been even arrested, let alone been in jail or gotten a 20-year sentence. But in a similar capacity, I am guilty of, I'm a sinner. And even though my sin is different from his, I feel like it was God's way of showing me that there is no bounds for his grace. There is no limit where God says, you've gone too far, if someone's willing to turn to him. So it was a real life-changing encounter for me. Sure. To see that even somebody who I couldn't accept, God could.
Yeah, that's hard. And that's probably the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Someone who hurts a child.
It is.
Right. Have you ever gone back, circled back, and talked to him at all?
No, actually, he was going to be leaving for his sentence in the next couple of weeks. And I actually have driven past the jail a couple of times since then, but haven't stopped. Not because I didn't want to. I actually would like to go back, just out of curiosity in some ways to see if something crazy would happen again. But just been time issues, pressure, you know.
Speaking of crazy, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you?
Oh, gosh. The craziest thing that has ever happened to me.
And why do you think that? Do you think? I mean, you just put yourself out there and you let God put you in positions for unusual things to happen, and just kind of go with it. You know?
Yeah, I do. I think some of my staff who works for me, they are constantly amazed at some of the things that happen, even in our office, that happen every day that don't happen to the average person. And obviously it's not because I'm special, but I think it goes back to what you said. It goes back to I am willing. I mean, I am willing, you referenced earlier, to be driving down the street and seeing a guy in a wide open field with no shirt on in the dead of winter, with no shoes on, to stop and inquire what's going on, where the average person would go,
that was weird, and keep going.
That's weird, and that's dangerous, and that can be something. There's another story in the book about a lady I met who would sit out in our home city with a coat on at 108-degree temperature, drinking hot Dr. Pepper and smoking cigarettes. Well, again, the average person would say, this is kind of a roulette to go to approach someone like this. But I've just kind of made it my habit that nothing is off limits. If I feel led to do something, I don't care how ridiculous or how crazy or even how risky. It started after I first got saved. We started a street witnessing team. And we had strip joints, and back in those days, they had what's called a peep show on the main strip in our home city. And me and guys would walk down.
Wichita Falls?
Wichita Falls.
You guys had that out there?
Oh, man, absolutely. Absolutely. There were streetwalkers all up and down the street, and dangerous bars. But we would go down underneath bridges. We've had guns pulled on us, knives pulled on us. Some of it was reckless abandon. Some of it, obviously, we could have been used a little more discretion, but just kind of developed a habit there of, I want to be involved in something. I do want to be involved in something out of the ordinary, supernatural. And you can't do that if you're just locked into an 8-to-5 lifestyle or a certain parameter of people I know and situations I know and that I'm comfortable with.
Well, you can't do it by not noticing other people.
Absolutely.
And that's we get the blinders on a lot of times in our daily lives. You notice other people.
I do.
Obviously, God has specifically, kind of ordained you for a little bit of the weirder stuff, because He puts you there. He puts you there, and He gives you a comfort level there. Because I wouldn't want my wife going and seeing what the guy's doing out there in the field. Right. Right. So there is a level of anointing for that purpose. So.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't want everybody to think that they have to go start risking their lives.
Oh, absolutely
just to preach the gospel.
Absolutely not. I agree with you. A lot of circumstances that I would get in, I wouldn't allow my family to be in. I mean, I was even in Africa a few years ago, and we had guys with AK-47s on each end of the stage.
15-year-olds.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
There you go. So, not situations, but again, I think sometimes the greatest danger lies not in putting yourself in an unpredictable situation. I think sometimes the greatest danger is being in a predictable lifestyle. You have to go through a certain routine. You can't take risks. I think if you're going to follow God, there are risks. And of course, risk is really another word for faith. You got to put yourself in a situation where it's going to require faith. I don't want to live in the safety zone. I don't want to put my life in reckless danger. I've got a wife and 3 kids. But I don't want to just live the mundane life and just end up retiring someday and going fishing. I want to be a part of something extraordinary. I want to be a part of something out of the ordinary.
Very cool. And it makes for a good book.
Yeah, I hope so.
Midnight in Aisle 7. Check it out. And if you want someone who'll bring a little spark to your church or your meeting or whatever, how do they get a hold of you?
JLowder.com is always a great way. We use all social media at JLowder, Twitter, Facebook. The book also has its own website, midnightinAisle7.com.
Perfect. Check it all out, and be sure to check out Jay when he's on Live Today, lifetoday.org. Thanks again for being with us.
Great to be here.